Chapter 6, The Thesis. It's a 38-year-old document that's been rumored about, analyzed, debated, criticized, and defended. Until recently, few have read it because it was hidden away at the request of Bill Clinton's administration for the 8 years that he was in office. These 90 pages, steeped in intrigue and mystery, are the senior thesis of Hillary D. Rodham, Wellesley College, class of 1969. Hillary's thesis, elevated to mystical status from years of secrecy, is now available to anyone inclined to visit Wellesley's archives. It begs the question, why was it so important to the Clintons to keep it a secret? How could the words of a 21-year-old political science major be so damaging and explosive? And most importantly, why did the Clintons ask Wellesley College to hide the thesis in 1993? Once dubbed a Rosetta Stone, the answer may lie in the fact that it exposes the real Hillary Clinton. In her own words, it allows readers to decipher the true thinking of the former First Lady and now 2008 presidential hopeful. Former Wellesley President Nannerl Cohane instituted a new rule following a directive from the Clintons. The senior thesis of every Wellesley alumni is available in the archives to the public for anyone to read, with the exception of a President or First Lady of the United States. Now, this rule has only ever applied to one person ever, Hillary Clinton. Cohane is an ardent Democratic contributor, so it should come as no surprise that she has no recollection of sealing the thesis. Now, the Clintons say they wanted it hidden because Hillary was trying to reform health care, and since she criticized Senator Moynihan in the piece, didn't want to alienate him. However, the consensus from those who have read the piece is that it contains nothing disparaging about Moynihan. So what's the real reason behind the Clintons' desperate attempt to have it banned? Many biographers see it as evidence of the Marxist and socialist views of the young Hillary Rodham, views that she tries to downplay depending on the political winds, but clearly maintains today. Barbara Olson, the conservative lawyer and commentator, asserted that the thesis was kept under lock and key because Clinton does not want the American people to know the extent to which she internalized and assimilated the beliefs and methods of Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky was a far-left activist and radical community organizer and widely considered the, quote, father of community organizing. Alinsky was a brutal promoter of power for others whose mantra was pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. He believed that you get power through organizing and that power goes to two poles, those with money and those with the support of the people. He has been labeled a communist, and his anti-establishment rhetoric certainly supports that assertion. But how did the young, impressionable Hillary, once a Goldwater girl and daughter of staunch Republicans, get involved with an extreme leftist like Alinsky on a Methodist church trip of all places while visiting impoverished neighborhoods in Chicago? He made such an impression on young Hillary that she decided to make him the focus of her thesis. The thesis leaves little question about how Hillary really felt about Alinsky. Now that it's unsealed, you can't miss the adoration that jumps off the pages. She praises him with phrases like compelling personality, exceptional charm, limitations of his anachronistic tactics. She defends him by saying much of what Alinsky professes does not sound radical. His are the words used in our schools and churches, by our parents and their friends, by our peers. She closed her thesis by exalting Alinsky and comparing him to social activists such as Martin Luther King, humanist Walt Whitman, and Eugene Debs, a socialist who ran for president 5 times. Alinsky was so fond of Hillary that he even offered her a job to lead one of his new quote-unquote training institutes. In a 1993 interview with the Washington Post, Clinton defended her thesis as an argument against big government and in support of Alinsky's war on poverty programs. Quote, I basically argued that he was right. Even at that early stage, I was against all these people who come up with these big government programs that were more supportive of bureaucracies than actually helpful to people. You know, I've been on this kick for 25 years. However, she had no response on why she chose to have it sealed when we contacted her senatorial offices and presidential campaign. Now, some may argue that a college paper written almost 40 years earlier can't decode a candidate's politics or beliefs. In the case of Hillary, she idolized a left-wing radical in her formative years, befriended and supported known communists, radicals, and groups in league with America's enemies. Now, the Clinton campaign wants you to believe that it's ancient history, But as recently as June 4th, Hillary blasted the free market, campaigned for redistribution of wealth for the common good, and compared the last 6 years in America to the era of the robber barons.
It's time for a new beginning. Time to reject the idea of an on-your-own society and to replace it with shared responsibility for shared prosperity. The genius of the American economy in the 20th century was that it helped to counter that tendency for people to push as far as their own interests would take them.
This isn't the first time that Hillary has made her socialist views and intentions so apparent. Take a look at what she said 3 years ago at a fundraiser in San Francisco. We're not coming to you, many of whom are well enough off that actually the tax cuts may have helped you. We're probably going to cut that short and not give it to you. We're going to take things away from you on behalf of the common good. All this while the economy is booming as a result of the tax cuts, the unemployment rate is down, and Wall Street is posting extraordinary gains. Clearly following in the path of Alinsky and others like him, Hillary has picked her target, frozen, personalized, and polarized it, except this time, that intended target is you, the American voter. Now, Hillary's opponents say she'll do anything to win and doesn't take a position unless it's completely safe. But the thesis is written in her own words, and those are hard to run from, which is why, even after all these years, this is another Clinton chapter which remains open.